Looking at the new Bloodlines and their context in regards to Flicker Strike as a skill, there's not a whole lot that stands out for the AO Bloodline, the Breachlord Bloodline, Katarina Bloodline, Olroth Bloodline, or really the Chaos Bloodline. However, there is this one node stands out if you're going to do Val Flicker Strike. Val Flicker Strike, because you have to build souls, doesn't work very good on Ubers, so it's not for like Uber Pinnacle bosses. And it's not really for normal, like Veritania style fights, that kind of thing, because you can do that with normal Flicker Strike. This is for like Hall of the Grandmasters, so that might be good. More damage per soul required, but in a very limited context. And remember, you have to give up one of your main nodes, main Ascendancy nodes. So the Delirious Bloodline, it offers these two nodes that stood out to me. And they've actually changed the names, but for now we'll call them Manic Episodes and Hallucinogenic Tendencies. One gives Embrace Madness skill. This is not new. This is something that came from the Beacon of Madness unique boots, which inflicts these on you, and it alternates, and they build stacks based on when you're doing damage. And you'll take more damage per stack. You can have reduced action speed per stack, reduced flash charges gained, and flask effect per stack, or reduced life and energy shield recovery rate, which does not apply to on hit, which is something I typically do with Flicker Strike. That said, this uniquely has the effect of inflicting mania on nearby enemies per second, which causes 4% increased damage taken, 2% reduced action speed, and 10% reduced life and energy shield recovery rate, and can be stacked up to 15 times. So that's interesting. This could be viable with the right setup. I'm interested in it. And then the other one is Misty Reflection, which you create a copy of yourself, which is not a big deal for Flicker Strike because you're kind of flickering all over the place anyway, so if you get teleported backwards, it's not a big deal. And then if the copy gets damaged by enemies, it applies this sort of debuff area where enemies take 30% increased damage and deal less damage, 30% less damage for 4 seconds. That's interesting. That might be viable. Now, you're only going to take one of these because we're not going to be giving up 2 Ascendancy points on Duelist Slayer in particular. The Nameless Bloodline also stood out because of the obvious. You get an extra ring slot, which could give an extra frenzy charge, as well as extra crit multiplier. All kind of things. You'd have to pull off the fact that you're giving up your belt. That's probably the easiest way to do this. This is something I may actually explore because belts give a lot of the Ellie res for Flicker Strike, so we'd have to get a lot of that back on the ring. But could be possible with a really good ring to pull off something really cool here. The Oshabi Bloodline has Rage, and it allows the Wild Bear, where you have max Rage, and you also then on the way get Rage on hit, a little bit more than you already have. Now, typically with my Flicker Strikes, I build Rage, which gives implicit, natural extra damage output. But then you go ahead and trigger in some way, depending. You trigger Berserk to burn Rage faster for even more damage, which is really nice. The downside to the Wild Bear is that when you hit your max Rage, even though you have more of it, it eliminates the Rage, which is not going to burn from Berserk. It's going to give you Wild Savagery, which could still potentially be good. And it's seconds per Rage loss, so you're going to lose 50 unless you stack even more, which is 5 seconds of this increased Fizz damage, increased action speed. Ignore Fizz reduction. It's for Fizz Flicker Strike. And that's why this one's not as interesting. Now, just to look here, what node do we give up, or what nodes do we give up? This is one of my stronger Flicker Strikes, and it actually uses a Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame to get an extra node. And so I played around with this a little bit, but so many of these are not available yet in POB to actually look at. I'm going to have to test them. We're not going to give up Headsman for 20% Cull. We're not going to give up Bane of Legends. It's just too good for the Reflect and just damage to unique enemies. And we're not going to give up Masterful Form for the Frenzy charge. Impact I happen to get from Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame, and it's nice. You could walk here, but Overwhelm is the one to get rid of. I have Flicker Strikes that don't even take this because the base weapon has more than 8% crit. So that'd be the one to give up. Gonna be not giving up Impact, which is better because it gives more damage to enemies in local proximity. Overwhelm would be the one to get rid of. As you can see, Sheeted, it loses a lot of damage, but it's always hard to say until I actually test it, so TBA.